The cold is older than you, older than your name, older than language. It slips into your sleeves, curls under your ribs. It doesn't bite, just waits. Tonight, you're blank. It is a sackcloth. Your pillow is folded linen, still damp from breath. Your mattress, straw and mice. You think they're in charge now. There's no fire left, just the smell of ash and a cracked oil lamp. The flame flickers like it's afraid of the dark too. Outside, the wind has changed. You can hear it dragging itself across the mountain slow, like an animal that's been wounded. You haven't slept in 2 nights, not really. Not since the pass was blocked. They say it's a giant, not a metaphor. Not a fable to frighten children, a real one, lying face down across the only route between 2 empires, so large it broke the map. You saw it, didn't you? The way its body blackened but didn't rot. The way even the birds refused it. Who was it? What war did it lose? And more importantly, why is no one talking about it? Sometimes history doesn't bury the truth. Sometimes it just steps over it, quietly. You pull the covers up, not because they help, but because it's something to do when you're afraid and tired. You wonder how many things were too big to fit in books, too strange to be remembered. What else have we forgotten? Tell us where you're listening from, or what time your night begins. You wake before the sun dares to rise, not because of sound but because silence shifted, as if the world held its breath just long enough to remind you something's not right. Your joints ache, the kind of ache you don't talk about anymore, because you're too young to call it age, and too old to pretend it's new. You sit up slowly, blanket falling from your shoulders like old skin. Dust floats in the dark like memory. There's frost on your boots, on the inside. How does that even happen? You stretch your legs, your knees crack. Your breath fogs the air in front of your mouth, a soft ghost waiting to vanish. You still hear the wind. It hasn't stopped, but it isn't trying to get in. It's just passing by, like a procession of something nameless. You wrap the blanket tighter and step outside. The sky is ash, blue. Not quite night, not quite morning, that in-between hour where even time seems unsure of itself. And there it is, still there, the body. The pass is wide-carved by centuries of mule trains, soldiers, pilgrims, and taxes. You imagine how many coins changed hands on this trail, how many secrets rode in saddlebags. Now it's quiet. The giant fell face down, one arm thrown across a slope of rock, the other buried beneath gravel and pine needles. Its hair has frozen into clumps that glisten like ropes dipped in tar. Its back curves with the mountain, so smoothly it almost blends in. If not for the ribs, you can see them, even from here, like the ribs of a shipwreck. Like someone tried to build a cathedral out of bone and then gave up halfway. And the smell, it isn't rot, not anymore. It's old iron and wet stone, like standing in a forge that hasn't been lit in years. The commander told you this was just a landslide, said the shape was tricks of shadow and snow. But you know what a hand looks like. 5 fingers, each one longer than your whole body, curled into the dirt as if they'd tried to claw their way out of something. You saw a man climb up the thigh 2 days ago. He didn't come back down. Some say it's a punishment. Others say it's a message. But no one agrees on what kind of message dies without explanation. Face down in a forgotten mountain pass, ignored by both empires. You take a step forward. Your sandals crunch softly on gravel. The sound feels too loud. There's a wagon nearby, frozen in place. Its wheels are half buried in frost, abandoned, the mule that pulled it. Gone, rope still tied to the yoke, swaying gently in the wind like it's remembering movement. You pass the wagon and walk toward the chest, or where you think the chest must be. It rises into a broad hill now crusted in snow and the gray bloom of lichen. There are marks, not natural ones, scrapes, slashes, like someone tried to carve into the skin, not to wound but to measure, to understand. But the cuts don't go deep, not nearly deep enough. You reach the shoulder. It's cracked, not broken, cracked, like stone under pressure, and under your palm the surface is cold. Not flesh, not quite stone either. Something in between, something that shouldn't be. You press your ear against it. Nothing, but the silence hums, like standing beside a cave that remembers storms, or a grave that forgot its name. You don't know how long you stay like that. When you finally pull away, your cheek is numb. You walk further, past the collarbone, past the scattered armor that's too large to be human. A shard of it reflects the sky bronze. Maybe, no. Something duller. Something not from here. One edge is inscribed. Not words, symbols, simple, repeating. You trace a finger across one of them. It doesn't feel carved. It feels grown. Behind you, the wind stops, just for a second, as if it's listening. You turn. Nothing, just snow. Pine, the weight of sky. But the feeling stays. That sense like someone is watching. Not with malice, with expectation. You breathe slowly. Try to steady your thoughts. Try not to wonder how a body this big can be so still. So completely still, unless it isn't dead, unless it's waiting for something to wake it, or someone, but that wasn't even the strangest part. The silence lingers longer than it should, not like a pause in conversation, but like the moment after a rope breaks. Your breath, for a second, feels too loud, too warm, too human, and you realize no birds, no insects, just the faint sound of your own lungs, trying to believe they belong here. You step back. The markings on the shard gleam faintly now, but not from light. There's no sun, only the pale gray weight of early morning. You don't recognize the symbols, not Greek, not Latin, not even the angular guesswork of the Scythians. They're older, simpler, almost childlike. You pocket a stone from beside them. Why? You don't know. It just feels wrong to leave it there, like leaving bread on the floor. Your boots crunch as you walk toward the hollow between shoulder and throat. Snow pools there, soft and undisturbed. Not even the wind crosses that dip. It feels like trespassing. You crouch, gently sweep the snow aside with your hand. Beneath, the flesh is leather, dark and dry. But as you brush further, you find a patch of fabric. Cloth, still caught under the giant's neck, worn and torn, but unmistakably woven. You blink. The weave is too fine to be primitive, and the pattern, red and gold threads in a diamond pattern, looks eerily similar to the textiles you've seen in Persian caravans. It's not armor. It's not ceremonial. It's a tunic, which means you sit back on your heels. Let the thought settle. The giant wore clothes, real ones, measured, made. Someone tailored something for this creature. Someone served it. A cold knot tightens in your stomach. Not just a beast. Not a mindless terror. Something else. You stand again. Your knees protest. There's a path just past the body's spine, a narrow trail chiseled into the mountain, where rocks have been knocked loose. You take it carefully, hand on the icy slope for balance, and as you climb, you begin to see it all differently. From above, the corpse is not just long, it's positioned, not fallen, laid, deliberately placed between two cliffs, spanning the narrowest part of the pass like a gate that gave up. You stop to catch your breath. The wind returns, soft. It wraps around your ankles like a cat that's forgotten your name. Below you, the trail snakes between rock and root. And beyond that, ruins, small, scattered, barely visible beneath the frost, just shapes at first, but then a circle of stones, a carved post, a tangle of something that might have once been rope or hair. You descend slowly, each step louder than you want it to be. The ruins are real. You see that now. An old outpost, maybe a watch station, half collapsed, but not eroded by time the way Roman roads are. Built with stone that doesn't belong here, darker, glossier, volcanic maybe, imported. Inside, you find what's left of a wall painting, faded red, gold leaf flaking. It's hard to tell what it was meant to be, a battle, a ceremony, but at the center is a figure, tall, not massive, just tall, too tall, and around it, smaller figures bowing, some offering bowls, others kneeling. It's not a giant as we think of them. Not monstrous, not grotesque, just larger, larger than any king, larger than any god you've ever seen painted. You step closer, trace the outline with your finger. A crack runs through the face. You wonder, did someone break this deliberately? Out of fear, or out of reverence, beneath the wall, tucked between two stones, you spot a bundle of scrolls, mostly rotted, fragile. You touch one and it crumbles, but another thicker, treated with wax, survives enough to unfurl. It's not written in any script you know, but there are diagrams. One shows the shape of the pass, another the same giant lying as it does now, and beneath it lines radiating outward, not roads, not water. Just lines, patterns, like something was meant to spread from this spot. A center, a beginning, or an ending. Your stomach tightens again. You weren't meant to see this. No one was. You hear a voice. But only in memory. The commander's voice, weeks ago, push through the pass, rest in Ser, trade and return, avoid the high roads too exposed. But Ser never answered your riders. The scouts came back pale and shaking. One didn't come back at all, and when you asked what they saw, they didn't speak. One just drew a single line in the dirt, straight, then suddenly bent, broken, a snapped spine. You're beginning to understand. The giant didn't fall here. It was brought. Maybe not by force, but by choice. You step out of the ruins. The sky has lightened. That strange moment where the sun rises without ever really showing itself. Clouds are thick above, but the snow begins to glow faintly, and the body shifts, not moves, not truly. But the way light hits it now, you see something new. A long crack running along its ribs, hairline, almost invisible, and beneath it, something pulsing, so faint you question it. You walk closer. The wind pushes back against you, not hard, but deliberate, as if trying to warn you without force. You lean in, and you hear it, faint, rhythmic, a beat, not your own, not echo, something else. You pull away sharply, stumble back into the snow. Your hand lands on stone, no, not stone, metal, carved, buried. You dig. Fingers numb, knuckles bleeding. You uncover a flat disc, bronze maybe, etched with the same childlike symbols, and at the center, a mark that's been scratched out. Not worn, scratched, violently, erased by someone who didn't want it to be known. Your breath fogs again, thicker now. The cold has deepened, or maybe. The body is drawing heat from the air. You stand again, walk backward, never taking your eyes off the chest. That pulse still there. Barely you whisper, though you don't know why. Not a name, not a prayer, just sound to break the stillness, to prove you still can. Behind you, something rustles, not leaves, cloth. You turn, slowly. Nothing, just the ruins, the snow, the empty pass. But your tracks, they've vanished, already filled by wind and ice. You look back at the corpse, and the strangest thought occurs to you. Maybe this was never a giant. Maybe it's something else entirely, a gate, a key, or a question, and you weren't sent to cross the pass. You were sent to witness what was buried in plain sight, to remember what everyone else agreed to forget. But that was only the beginning. The wind follows you now, not loudly, not like a storm, but like an old dog, limping, persistent. It brushes your ankles, even when the mountain should block it, even when you turn to face the wrong direction. You walk anyway. You don't know where to go, not really. Back to the hut, maybe. But what does that give you? A straw mat, a cracked lamp, a place to wait while frost creeps into your joints like guilt. So you keep walking. The ground is half mud, half ice. Each step sinks with a wet sigh, and the silence keeps growing, stretching between the cliffs like canvas. You pause beneath a pine tree. Its needles are rimmed in rhyme, like a beard frozen mid-sentence. You lean your head back against the trunk and let the stillness settle. There's something about the air here, the way it carries weight, not pressure, memory. You remember a merchant once said these mountains were haunted, but not by ghosts. Ghosts still want things. He'd whispered over his stew, up here. The dead don't want anything. That's the worst kind. You laughed then. Now your fingers are too stiff to make a fist. You find yourself retracing the edge of the spine, not intentionally, just drawn. The giant's body is so vast, it becomes landscape. A hill here, a frozen slope there. The crook of the elbow looks like a trench left by retreating armies. But it's the base of the skull that draws you now. There, just behind the ruined ear, something juts from the ground. Wood, or what used to be wood. You kneel. It's the top of a post, buried deep, splintered. And around it ropes, long dissolved, except for one knot, still intact, preserved in ice. You run your fingers over it. A binding knot. You've seen this before in shipyards. Used to moor something that shouldn't move. So they tied it here, not just laid it down, anchored it. Held it like a prisoner. You scan the earth nearby, another post, then another, 4 in total. You step back. Draw the shape in your mind, not a random pattern. A square, wide enough to hold the torso of a god. A crude grave or a warning. You don't know which is worse. Your hands are shaking again. You try to rub warmth into them, but the skin's too thin now. Knuckles like paper. Your breath stings when you exhale. You fumble for the bread in your satchel. Still hard, still flavorless, still there. You eat it because your body needs something to do. Something other than shiver. Your teeth grind against the crust. You think about all the stories people tell of giants. Fables mostly. Tales whispered by firelight to explain shadows on the hills. But the bones here are real, and they don't match the myths. This isn't the wild, ragged thing of children's tales. No bones of cattle in its gut. No crude club, just ancient muscle. Strange fabric and stillness. The kind of stillness that feels chosen. You chew slower. Let the silence fill your mouth with something heavier than food. By midday, what little light there is begins to dim. Clouds roll in not storm clouds. Thick, heavy, quiet. You see it before you hear it. Something on the ridge. Movement brief, sharp, then gone. You freeze. Hand on the dagger you barely remember strapping to your side. But nothing follows, no voice, no footsteps, just that same dragging wind. You climb the ridge slowly, boots sliding on the scree. At the top you find, not a person, but a structure, hidden behind a line of jagged rock, a small shrine, or what's left of it. 3 stones. Flat stacked, a 4th laid before them like an altar, and on it coins, ancient, green with corrosion, Greek, Roman, one you don't recognize at all. Beside them, scraps of offerings, dried herbs, the brittle stem of something once red. A feather, long, white, too thick to belong to any bird you've seen. You look up at the stones, no writing, just a carved impression, a handprint, deep, inhuman, 5 fingers, too long, pressed into the stone as if it were wax. You set your own hand beside it. It disappears beneath the outline. It's not just large, it's wrong. The proportions don't match. The curve of the palm is off, like whoever left it wasn't built the way you are. Your fingers tingle, you pull away, too fast, too human. It's nearly dark now. You sit on the altar stone, not out of disrespect, you're too tired to disrespect anything. Your legs are numb, your feet feel distant. You close your eyes, just for a moment, and you hear it again, the pulse, this time closer, not from the body, from the ridge, like a heartbeat buried in the earth itself. You open your eyes, the snow has thickened. Your boots are already disappearing beneath it. You don't know what you're doing anymore. You were sent to scout, to report back on road conditions, to assess threats, banditry, storm, damage. No one said anything about this. You reach into your coat, pull out the report sheet, still blank. You laugh once, dry, cracked, ugly. What do you write? Giant in the pass, dressed, anchored, probably waiting. Or worse, not a threat, just a memory, breathing faintly, a void. You drop the parchment. The wind takes it, not far, just enough. It lands on the handprint, then lifts again, carried west, toward the corpse. You don't follow it. You sit there until the dark wraps around you like another question. And you think, what kind of being lays down willingly in the middle of the world? What story was important enough to carve across a mountain with a body? And why did we all agree not to remember? You walk down the ridge slower than you came up. There's no urgency anymore, just gravity. A soft surrender to the weight of your limbs, your pack, your breath. The snow is thicker now, clinging to your ankles, brushing your knees. It doesn't fall, it hovers, like ash that forgot how to settle. Behind you, the shrine fades into whiteness. Ahead of you, the spine of the giant looms like a buried ruin. You feel it before you see it again, that hollow ache. The kind that doesn't come from hunger, but from questions you can't translate. And your fingers still remember the size of that handprint. How your own palm felt small, not just in scale, but in purpose. Like your life had been drawn with too fine a brush. You step onto the lower trail, and the wind changes, not colder, quieter. It moves around you like breath in a chapel, as if the pass itself is exhaling. You realize, suddenly, you're humming, a tune from childhood, something your mother sang to fill silence when she didn't want to talk. You stop, let it die on your lips. You look back, expecting someone to be standing behind you. No one, just the snow, and the shape, that immense, unmoving shape that once was something. You walk toward it again, because what else is there? You cross near the curve of the ribs. There, the snow has piled unevenly, sliding off the surface like it refuses to stay. And underneath, more cloth, frayed, frozen in places but still patterned. You crouch beside it, brush gently, the same red and gold threading you found earlier, and beneath it a buckle. You ease it free. It's bronze tarnished green, but the design is unmistakably deliberate concentric circles. Sun imagery, perhaps, or a symbol of rank. You've seen something like this before, once in a museum Roman auxiliary gear, recovered from a long-buried frontier fort. But that buckle had 6 circles. This one has 7. You hold it in your palm. It's heavier than it looks. You slip it into your coat, not for theft, for proof. Maybe one day someone will believe you. You pass the shoulder again and stop, because something's changed. There's a groove in the snow now, cutting down from the neck, thin, delicate, as if someone dragged a staff, or, no, as if a finger moved. You freeze, your breath catches. The wind halts too, like it's watching. But the body doesn't move, not really. Still, the groove is there, fresh, unmistakable. You drop to one knee, touch the trail. It's warm, not hot but not frozen, and your mind rejects it, invents explanations. A bird maybe sliding through snow, but there are no feathers, no prints, just a single clean trail. You look up. The face is half, buried in frost, but the eye socket you could swear it's deeper than before. Not open, just. Less closed, you back away, not from fear, from reverence. You realize you're not the first to come here. And you won't be the last, but maybe you're the only one who stayed long enough to listen. You find the others by accident, not people not alive, tents or what's left of them, collapsed under snow, bone, dry from wind. 3 of them, no fire pit, no supplies, just torn cloth, rusted tools, and in the center a crate, sealed with pitch. You pry it open with the edge of your knife. Inside, scrolls, not Roman, not Greek. But translated, you see both languages, side by side. One ancient, curling left to right. The other, crisp Latin script beneath it. And you read, slowly. The first line freezes your spine. We record what we are forbidden to remember. The second, it fell before cities were cities. It did not scream. Your hands tremble, the parchment shakes. You skip ahead. Descriptions, measurements, drawings. One diagram matches the grooves on the giant's ribs. Another shows internal organs labeled, dissected, and a line beneath. It does not decay. It resists forgetting. You turn the page. The final entry is short. 3 of us remain. 2 have gone mad. 1 refuses to leave. We do not speak its name aloud, but at night we feel it breathe beneath the stone. There is no signature. You close the scroll, return it to the crate. Because part of you doesn't want to know more, not tonight. You find a place to rest near the elbow, a slight overhang shielded from wind. You curl under your cloak, bones stiff, hands aching. You don't sleep. But you drift half, thoughts, fragments of dreams, at one point. You don't move for a long time, not because you're frozen, but because you don't know what moving would mean. The warmth hasn't faded. It lingers like a memory you're not sure belongs to you. Your fingers stretch. Dry cracks split the skin around your knuckles, but they don't bleed. You're past bleeding now. Even pain feels polite, distant, detached. You press your palm to the frost, melted ground beside you. Still warm. Still wrong, and still the body does not move. You sit up, carefully, muscles slow to respond, as if your limbs are waiting to decide whose side they're on. Your cloak is stiff, ice at the hem. You shake it out, not for dryness, just to feel like you're doing something human. The wind has stopped again, not gone, just paused, like it's holding its breath, like it's waiting to see what you'll do next. You stand, the bones of your knees complain, loudly. You whisper an apology. To no one, in particular. To the pass, the wind, the thing beneath you. The trail ahead is faint, now buried by snow and questions. But your feet move, because they remember forward, even when the rest of you doesn't. You follow the line of the arm. The way it stretches across the pass is unnatural, not limp, not fallen, placed. One finger dips into a ravine where meltwater should be but isn't. No ice, no flow, just a dry bed. Smooth stones and one piece of pottery, half buried. You pick it up, a shard of something once curved, burnished red with a pattern scratched along the rim, 4 dots, then a line. You've seen it before. Stamped onto an old amphora in the governor's archives, property of the Eastern grain route. It had said, "So this place, this pass was once traveled, heavily, traded, used, trusted, before the maps stopped showing it, before the stories changed." You set the shard back down. Its place is here, yours. You're not sure yet. There's a small clearing just beyond the hand, and in it more stones, carved, stacked markers. Graves, warnings, you can't read the script, but the lay out is Roman, orderly, spaced evenly, a path between, you count them, 7 stones, 6 with carvings, 1 blank, as if waiting. You kneel before the blank one. It feels unfinished, or maybe recently scrubbed clean, as if someone removed the name, not because it was unknown, but because it was too dangerous to say aloud. You sit there for a while. The snow falls. Quietly, so gently you don't notice it piling on your shoulders. You think of all the names you know, the men in your unit, the commander, your father. None of them would fit this stone. It's not just a grave. It's an absence. You rise and keep walking, toward the head. The face is buried in snow, but part of the cheek is exposed dark and smooth, almost polished. You touch it, cold, unfathomably cold. Like touching the night sky, you press your ear to it again. No sound, no breath, but beneath the silence, something stirs, a memory, but not yours. You see fire, not from torches from above, a sky lit red, not from sun or sunset. Figures moving beneath it, tall, silent. You see this pass full of people, not soldiers, not refugees, something older, people in long robes, hands painted in symbols, carrying bowls, offerings, tools. You blink, it's gone. Your breath fogs the air again. You realize your forehead is resting against the cheek. You step back, ashamed, like you've overheard something private. You head down the slope beside the giant's jaw. There's a split in the rock, a cave, maybe half, covered by a collapsed ledge. You ease yourself inside. The cold lessens immediately. It's small, just enough space to crouch. You strike the flint. Once. Twice, a spark, then flame. The torch sputters to life. The walls flicker, and that's when you see them. Markings carved into the stone, deep, weathered, but clear. They form no language you know, but they repeat. Each symbol mirrored beside its twin. A ritual, maybe, or a record, or just something someone didn't want to forget. You run your hand along the wall. It's been touched before, many times. The grooves are smooth. Worn by skin, one symbol is circled in ash, a sun crossed by a single line, and beneath it a line of old blood. So faint you almost miss it. You sit because standing feels disrespectful, and because your legs are shaking. You light the second torch, set it in a crack in the wall. Then you eat bread, dry, harder now, but familiar. You chew slowly, let it dissolve in your mouth like sand, your eyes close, just briefly. You tell yourself you won't sleep. You lie, you wake to warmth, real this time, not imagined, not a trick of memory or breath. It radiates from the floor, faint, measured. Your torch has burned low, but the marks on the wall, they glow. Not brightly, but enough. You sit up, rub your hands. The blood is gone, no trace. Only the symbol remains. You crawl forward, touch it again. Nothing happens, and yet you feel something rearrange inside you, as if a new question has been planted where an old certainty used to live. You leave the cave at dawn, or what passes for dawn. Light filters through the mist in slow ribbons. You walk along the edge of the cliff. High above the chest now, looking down, the body stretches between valleys, a bridge that no one dares cross. You wonder if it rose, where would it go? Back the way it came, or forward, toward whatever broke it. You think of the empty grave, of the erased name, of the forgotten shrine, and the scrolls that begged you not to remember. And still here you are, remembering anyway. You reach the overlook. Sit. Wrap your arms around your knees. And breathe, not because it helps, but because it means you're still here, still a witness, still a question waiting for the right story to unlock you. Below, the giant does not move, but something shifts, a shadow across the snow, too slow to be wind, too still to be alive. You close your eyes and wonder not if it will rise, but when and why, and what it would mean to be remembered by something too large for memory. You don't climb down the ridge. Not yet. You stay seated, high above the chest, knees drawn to your ribs, hands wrapped tight. The cold doesn't bother you the same way anymore, not because it's warmer, but because you've stopped resisting it. You feel it in your jaw, in the backs of your eyes, but you've accepted it. Like grief or time, below the body lies unchanged, but not unchanging. You see it now, not movement, not breath, but memory in motion. The way snow gathers only at certain joints. The way the valley curves around the mass, like it's always been there. The way you can't remember a time when it wasn't lying across the pass. Even though. It hasn't been long, has it? You pull the buckle from your coat pocket. The circles catch the light. 7 concentric rings, still cool to the touch. You rub a thumb across the metal, slow. The symbol means something. You're sure of it, but meaning fades when no one remembers the language. You descend in stages, one ledge at a time, boots sliding, ankles turning just enough to hurt, but not enough to fall. The cliff face is sheer in places, scratched with the grooves of long-forgotten ropes. You wonder how many tried this climb before you, how many succeeded, how many didn't come back down. At the base, snow has drifted into soft dunes. You wade through it knee-deep, your breath short now. The giant's hand rises above you like a ruined archway, each finger casting a long, wrong shadow. You pass under the palm, the skin cracked like drought, blasted clay. And you notice again, no rot, no decay, just stillness, like it's waiting for something to finish, or for someone to return. You circle the curve of the hip, beyond it, a shallow basin where the snow has melted into water. A wide, cold mirror. You crouch at the edge, look at your reflection, and then, just past your shoulder, another shape, too tall. You turn quickly, nothing, just the ridge, the pines, the faint curve of smoke in the sky far, far east. You stare at the smoke. It's thin, one thread, too straight to be a campfire, too distant to be yours. Another expedition, another watcher. You consider moving toward it, but something keeps your boots in place. The water ripples, not from your movement, from something else. A low thrum rolls through your chest, not sound, vibration, deep, muffled, like a voice speaking from beneath a mountain. You back away slowly. The ripples stop. You glance once more toward the smoke. Gone, just mist now, or maybe memory. You find the tent hours later, half frozen, tucked in the crook of the knee. You almost miss it. The fabric blends into the folds of skin and snow. It's small, just enough for one man, maybe two. You lift the flap. Inside, books, real books, not scrolls, not tablets, pages, bound in leather and sealed with wax. You pick one up, flick it open, English. Early modern. Your eyes widen. How? You turn to the inner cover. A name, M. Collier, 1008, 121, then. Royal Geographical Society, unpublished notes. You sit cross-legged in the snow. Set the book on your knees. It smells of mildew and dust, but the ink is sharp. You read, "This is no mere tale. The thing exists. I have touched it. I have slept at its feet. I have heard the breath beneath stone. It is not myth. It is memory." You turn the page. No decay. No animal dares feed on it. My guides refuse to follow beyond the ridge. One called it cursed, the other wept. Page after page, it is not dead. I fear it is not alive either. I fear the truth lies between, and worse, I fear it remembers what it once was. You sit still for a long time, then you look up, past the tent to the neck, to the buried eye. You whisper the name, Collier. It vanishes into the wind. You spend the night in the tent, wrapped in what's left of the fabric. Pressed between two books to keep warm, you don't sleep well. Your dreams are shallow. One of them shows you a city not ruined, but incomplete. Wide stone walls, gates too large for any army, people walking in silence. No mouths, only eyes, watching. You wake with your hands clenched, fingernails digging into the old maps. Your breath fogs the air, and in the stillness you hear something. Footsteps, not behind you. Not beside you, beneath you, deep, muffled one. Then another, then silence. You lift the flap. The world is still, but the snow has shifted just slightly. You rise, step out. Your footprints from last night gone, replaced by others, longer, wider, spaced too far to be human, leading toward the throat. You follow, not because you choose to, but because the alternative is ignorance, and silence is heavier when it isn't shared. The tracks vanish near the clavicle. You place your hand there. The skin is smoother here, more like polished leather, or stone that remembers water. You climb. It takes time. You use the folds in the cloth, the creases of flesh hardened into ledges. Your breath comes hard. Your shoulders scream, but you reach the collarbone, and there tucked in the hollow is a hole. Not natural, carved, a hatch, a tomb. You lower yourself in, not far, just a short descent. Inside, darkness, but warm, unnaturally warm. You strike a match. The walls are smooth, lined with plates bronze, perhaps, etched. The same circle patterns. You see something at the far end, a seat, or a cradle, empty, but still warm, still used. You kneel before it. The air is thin, hard to breathe, but your hands stop shaking. For the first time in days you feel still, not safe, but seen. As if the walls recognize you, not by name, but by purpose. You whisper, just a question, are you waiting? The darkness does not answer, but the warmth deepens, not heat, not fire, recognition, and then from somewhere beyond the cradle a sound. Not loud, not clear, but rising, like a choir with no mouths, or a memory learning how to sing. You step back, the light flickers, and your heart doesn't race, because you understand now. You weren't the first to find this place. You were the first who stayed long enough to be remembered by it. And still one thought remains. What happens when it remembers too much? You climb back into the wind like a diver returning to the surface, but it's colder now, sharper. The air outside the chamber tastes older, like it filtered through layers of dust, silence, and regret before reaching your lips. You cough once. Your voice surprises you. You hadn't realized how long it's been since you used it. You scan the ridgeline. Nothing. The body is still there, but something's changed. Not shape, not position. But presence, it doesn't feel passive anymore. It feels like it knows you're here. Not just you either, you're not alone. You walk carefully across the giant's chest, boots pressing into frozen cloth that still carries the faint curve of muscle beneath. You reach the slope above the other shoulder, and that's when you see them. Footprints, clear, crisp, human, leading down the arm and into the snow beyond. You follow, not quickly, not with urgency. You follow the way people follow ghost stories because part of you wants to be proven wrong. The prints move toward the woods, into shadow. You hesitate at the tree line. The pines are still, too still, and then a smell, not rot, not blood, something floral, sweet, jasmine, no bitterer, like dried petals crushed under boot leather. You step between the trees. Branches reach for your cloak like old hands. You follow the trail through the woods for 20 minutes before you find her. She's sitting on a flat stone, wrapped in layers of wool and fur. A metal cup steaming between her hands. She looks up as you step into the clearing, doesn't speak, doesn't flinch, just watches. Her eyes are lined not with fear, but with sleep, sleep that lasted decades. Maybe centuries. You nod once. She nods back. That's enough. You sit on a fallen log nearby, quiet. She passes you the cup. You take it. Sip. Warm broth. Root. Based, spiced, more taste than you've had in days. You almost cry, but don't. Not in front of her. Not in front of someone who already knows. Eventually, she speaks soft, almost bored. How far did you go in? You pause, answer truthfully to the cradle. She raises an eyebrow. And it let you in. You nod. She exhales. Then you need to leave. You don't respond. You just stare at her boots, stained, worn, older than yours, older than some ruins you've walked through. She watches you carefully. It doesn't wake for just anyone. You ask slowly, "What is it?" She doesn't answer right away, stirs the broth with the end of a twig. It's not a what. Not anymore. You wait. She looks off toward the valley. When the empires came Rome, Persia, others before they always passed through here. This pass was a mouth, and trade was the breath. She leans back until something stopped it. Something too big to go around, too strange to explain. You nod once. The giant, she laughs, not kindly. They called it a giant because they had no other word. You glance back toward the ridge, you ask, so what was it? She's quiet for a long time, then finally, without looking at you, it was a witness. The fire is gone now. Only coals remain. She packs slowly, folding the pot into a leather sling. You help her because there's nothing else to do. When you lift her satchel, it's heavier than it looks. She takes it like it's nothing. Strength beneath quiet, like mountain roots. She points down the slope. There's a path out, northeast. Old road, Roman stones, still walkable if the snow hasn't buried it too deep. You nod, but you don't move. She looks at you, really looks, and then she says, "You still don't understand, do you?" You shake your head. No. She sighs. You think you found something rare, something hidden. You didn't. You stare. She kneels, traces something in the snow. Circles, 7 interlocked, the same pattern from the buckle. You were supposed to find it. You blink. Why? She looks up at you, eyes like riverstone, because it's remembering. The trail she showed you does exist. Old paving stones peek through the snow like teeth. You follow it as far as the first marker, a Roman milepost, split clean down the center. No numbers, just scratches. One line carved deeper than the others. You touch it, still cold, still unwelcoming, but less. Silent, you press on. By noon, you find the remains of another camp. 3 tents, 1 collapsed. Books burned, not from fire, from rot. Scrolls melted into the earth like wax. But 1 page survives, pinned to a tree with an iron nail, scrawled in charcoal. It knew I was lying. No signature, just the echo of someone else who stayed too long. You don't take the note, you leave it where it is. It's not yours. That night the dreams return. You're not asleep, not really, just drifting. And in the space between breaths you see it again. The city from before, but closer now. You're walking its streets. Each building built for something larger than people. Windows too high, doors too wide, steps too far apart. No one speaks, but every face watches, mouths closed, hands open, as if they're asking, "Do you remember us?" You wake with your hand on your chest. Your heartbeat doesn't belong to you. It's slower, deeper, like the mountain is inside your ribcage now. You sit up, shake your head, try to walk it off, but your steps echo. Even in snow. At sunrise, you reach the edge of the forest. And there in the clearing another figure, wrapped in robes, hooded, standing still, facing east. You approach slowly. No sound but breath. Yours, theirs, the wind doesn't dare interfere. You stop a few feet away, the figure turns, and for a moment you expect to see yourself. But it's no one you've met. Their face is lined, not from age. From waiting, they speak just 1 sentence. It wants to be seen again. Then they vanish into the trees. You don't follow, because somehow you already know where they're going. Back to the cradle. Back to the thing too large to name. Back to the place where memory lives longer than stone. You stand in the clearing for a long time, then look up and whisper to the sky if it remembers me. Who will I become? The clearing empties behind you. Branches don't sway. Birds don't return. Even the snow forgets to fall. You try to mark the figure's path in your mind, but the moment they disappeared, the trees sealed their silence. You rub your palms together, not to warm them, to remember the shape of your own hands, because something about this place keeps making you forget what belongs to you. Your cloak flaps once in the wind. You turn east, not toward safety, not toward orders, just forward. The trail is narrow, lined with frozen roots that rise from the soil like ribs. Your boot snags, you fall, the ground doesn't catch you gently. Your breath leaves your body with a grunt. The air takes a long time to return. You lie there, face pressed into the snow, one cheek going numb, eyes open. You don't try to move. Above you, the trees lean inward, like they are listening, not watching listening, as if your body makes a sound even in stillness, a sound only old places understand. Eventually, you sit up. Your shoulder protests. Your spine crackles. You taste blood, just a little, from your tongue maybe. You don't remember biting it. By mid-morning, the clouds thicken again. The light goes gray. Your breath grows thicker. The land begins to slope. You realize you're circling back, not by decision, but by design. The mountain wants you to return. You stop at a wide outcrop of stone, sit on the edge. Below, far off, the outline of the body is still visible. Barely, snow has covered most of it, but the shape remains, like a scar that refuses to fade. You watch it without moving. Then you notice a figure, small, moving near the ribcage. Not you, not the woman. Not the hooded one, another, bending, touching, writing, then gone. You blink. You're not sure they were ever there. You close your eyes for a few seconds. Try to feel your heartbeat. It's slower than before. Not weak, just patient, like it's syncing with something else. You find another marker in the woods, carved into the side of a tree, 7 circles, fainter this time, as if drawn in haste, below it a word. Not Latin, not Greek, but familiar, witness. You trace the letters. Your glove is damp now. From snow or sweat, you're not sure. You keep walking. Near dusk, you smell smoke. Real this time, not imagined. Not dream, filtered. You follow it cautiously and find a camp, unoccupied, a fire still burning low, bedroll unrolled, a journal left open on a rock. You hesitate, then pick it up. The handwriting is fine. Precise, someone educated. Trained, you read. Day 19. Still no full decay. Skin remains intact, hair undisturbed. No signs of predator interference. Corpses do not breathe, and yet you turn the page. Each night the sound returns, low, like a drum beneath the ground. I've stopped questioning whether it's real. The body may not be alive, but the pass is. You close the book, set it down, gently. You don't look for the author. You know they're not here, not anymore. You settle beside the fire. Warmth seeps into your knees. You unwrap your scarf. Let your face feel the air. You're thinner now. You know that. Your cheekbones have grown sharper. Your breath comes out in softer clouds. You eat a piece of bread from your pouch. Dry, stale, but edible. You chew slowly. Let the crust scrape your teeth. The sound comforts you. Something mundane. Something small. You miss small things. When the stars appear, you lie on your back. No tent, just sky, just ache, and questions, always questions. You close your eyes, and the dreams come again, but not as visions. This time they arrive as sounds. Soft chanting, not in a language you know, but one your bones recognize. You see a valley, crowds gathered, torches held high, and in the center a procession, tall figures, moving with ceremony, with sorrow. And then the sound rises a single tone, long and low, like a horn buried under centuries of dust. You wake, shivering, the fire's gone out, and the stars above you look closer than they should be, like they're watching you. Or remembering you, you whisper just once, I'm still here. But the night doesn't answer. The next day you reach the eastern edge. The trees thin, the snow deepens, the world grows quiet, too quiet. No birds, no ice cracking, no wind. You walk through it like a shadow. Eventually the path opens, a wide slope, stone steps, ancient, broken in places, carved directly into the cliffside. You follow them down, and find what waits at the bottom, a doorway built into the rock, framed in bronze, sealed with symbols, 7 of them, each a circle, each interlocked at the center a handle, wrapped in old cloth. You reach out, your hand hovers, not from fear, but from reverence. Then gently you pull, the door doesn't open, it sighs, a slow, deep sound, like the exhale of something vast and tired. Then it shifts. Not inward, not outward, just. Gone, you step inside. Darkness greets you like a warm blanket. You breathe once, twice, and begin to descend. Each footstep echoes, not loudly, just enough. You reach the first landing. There, on the wall, a single sentence carved in perfect lines. What was buried was not the body. You trace it with your fingers and think, if the body wasn't buried, then what was? You descend slowly. The steps beneath your feet are worn smooth not by time, but by repetition. You're not the first to walk this path. You won't be the last. The walls breathe with old damp. Moss hangs in strings along the stone like forgotten offerings. You carry no torch, no fire, and still you can see, not clearly, but just enough. The faintest luminescence hums from the walls, like something once sacred has been smudged into the stone, like memory, ground into dust, still tries to give off light. You reach the second landing, more writing, this time etched in layered scripts, Greek, Latin, Aramaic, then older ones carved not with letters, but with shapes. You pause. One symbol stands out. 7 circles again. But this time they twist in on themselves. A spiral, you touch it. The stone is warm again. Too warm, as if the spiral remembers hands. Further down, the air changes. Less earth, more iron. Your tongue tastes it before your nose does. Old blood, or old tools, or both. You descend. Each footstep echoes softer. Then not at all. The floor here is different, padded with something. You look down, cloth, laid across the stone in long strips. Red, gold, dark green, some frayed, some damp, all placed deliberately. You realize you're walking on garments, ancient, formal robes worn by. Who, monks, soldiers, witnesses, you don't know. You step lightly now. A strange reverence tightens your throat. The passage opens, not wide, but high. The ceiling arches like a temple supported by ribs of black stone. Each column engraved, you don't read them, not yet. You're afraid they might speak back. At the center of the chamber, a shape, not a throne, not an altar, something between a platform and on it a body, not the giant, a person, human-sized, wearing dark fabric wrapped in 7 layers, hands crossed at the chest, mouth covered by a plate of copper. You step closer, kneel. The hands are skeletal now, long, but not monstrous. A ring still clings to 1 finger thick, set with a dull black stone. On the copper plate, a symbol, the spiral again, but this time broken at the edge. You reach out, not to disturb, just to feel. The plate hums, low, like a vibration in your fingertips. You whisper without meaning to. What were you meant to keep inside? The chamber does not answer, but something shifts. A door opens behind the body, not mechanically, not with hinges. It simply stops being closed. You rise, step through. The tunnel beyond is narrow, cold again, rough, hewn, no carvings. It leads downward, always downward, until eventually you emerge into a cavern, and then you see it, another body, larger than any structure you've ever entered, but not the same as the one above. This one is lying beneath the first, under the pass, buried in the rock, stretched the length of the mountain. You don't gasp. You don't scream. You kneel, because nothing else feels appropriate. It's different from the first. More decayed, not in flesh there is none, just bone, bone so large it curves like hills. Ribs like vaults, the skull is cracked, split across the crown, the jaw is missing. Where it might have fallen, there's a deep pit in the earth. Dark, bottomless, you realize this one was broken long before the other ever lay above. You walk the length of the ribs. It takes time. Each step echoes with something you can't name. Halfway down, you find another platform. But this one is empty. A cradle, a seat, a bed, or something else on the ground beside it. More cloth, folded, never worn, too small for a body this size, too fine to be casual. You kneel. There's a bowl there. Still holding something. Ash, you reach in, touch it. It clings to your skin like oil. You bring it to your face, smell it, and suddenly you remember, not clearly, just flashes. Cities built for voices, not names. People who spoke in dreams, not words. Mountains moved by breath alone. You stumble back. The images vanish, but the feeling remains. You leave the cavern quietly, back through the passage, past the silent guardian, up the cloth, strewn stairs. When you emerge again into the pale gray daylight, it takes a moment to remember how to breathe. The air here is thinner, sharper, but less heavy, like something has been released. Or accepted, you descend toward the body again, the one above the pass. You stop at its side, sit and just. Sit, you press your palm to the side of its knee, still cold, but no longer indifferent. You close your eyes, and for the first time in what feels like centuries you sleep. When you wake, it is dusk again, the sky bruised purple, the wind still, and the body unchanged, but you feel different. Not stronger, not wiser, just quieter. You stand, gather your things, and begin the slow walk down the mountain trail. You don't look back, not yet. You make it as far as the old mile marker, and only then do you stop. You turn, glance once more at the pass, and this time the body is gone. Not vanished, just not there. Snow covers the trail again. Wind moves freely, as if it had never been blocked at all. You place your hand on the stone marker, close your eyes, and ask, if the body never existed, why do my hands still remember its weight? There's no trail anymore, no prints, no markers, just your boots, and the weight in your chest that keeps pointing east. The snow is thinner here, not because it's warmer, just wind, scoured, as if the mountain wants to reveal its bones. You walk with your head low, one hand tucked inside your coat. The buckle still rests there. You don't remember why you kept it. You don't remember picking it up. But it fits your palm too well to let go now. The old Roman road reappears after midday. Just a few stones, laid side by side, cracked, uneven. You run your foot along the edge of one. A boot scuffs the moss away. Underneath a word, carved faintly. You lean closer, iter, Latin, just that. No direction, no distance, journey. You breathe out, slow. Your breath fogs and curls upward like incense. The road leads you to a stream half frozen. You kneel beside it. Cup your hands, the water is bitter. So cold it tastes metallic. You drink anyway, because thirst, like truth, doesn't care if it's pleasant. Something stirs in the reflection. You glance down, just your face, but not as you remember it. Your eyes look older, lips paler, hair streaked with something gray or dust or time. You splash the surface. The image scatters, that helps. You follow the stream until it bends west. You don't follow it. You turn toward the hill rising in front of you, steep and silent. The wind here hums not loudly, just beneath hearing. Like a string drawn tight in the air. You reach the crest and find another stone, this one taller, an obelisk half, fallen, sunk at an angle into frost. 7 rings carved into it, nothing else. You don't touch this one. You just sit beside it, lower your pack, close your eyes for a moment, just one moment. You wake to a sound, a thud, far off, not thunder, not movement, just a presence. You sit up, scan the horizon. The air is still. Frost crackles as your cloak shifts, and there at the bottom of the slope a figure, standing beside a cart. Their head is bowed, one arm raised, brushing snow from the wheel. You blink. They're gone. You rise, walk toward the space where they were. The snow there is untouched. No tracks, no cart, just air, and a small object resting in the frost. A spoon, simple, wood, smooth with age. You pick it up. Why would they leave this? Why would you find it? You slip it into your belt, because what else can you do? Day passes like smoke. Light filters through the clouds and thin spears. You keep walking. Your legs ache not with pain, but with tired memory. Each step reminds your bones that they've been carrying you for longer than you thought. You pass another hill, then another, and there between the two a doorway. Not carved, not built, just open, stone surrounding it like teeth, a mouth in the mountain. You hesitate, because of course it's here, because every road leads inward eventually. You duck inside, the cave is warmer. Not by much, but enough. You move slowly, one hand against the wall. The ground beneath your boots crunches, not rock. Salt, you lean down, brush the surface. Yes, salt, crystallized across the floor like ancient tears. You keep going, and then walls painted, faded with time, but visible in places, scenes, a body laid across a valley, figures kneeling, a mountain split down the center, fire, hands raised, the same spirals over and over. Some broken, some whole, and one image repeated 3 times, a mouth open, dark, and inside it a seed. You stop. place your fingers against the paint. It flakes away, not completely, just enough to leave dust on your hands. You wipe them on your cloak. You keep moving. At the back of the cave, you find a bench. Stone, wide, cold, you sit. Because walking is no longer the answer, and because silence has started speaking in your bones. You take off your glove, look at your hand. You don't recognize it. The lines are deeper, the knuckles darker, your nails, not quite right, longer, no, different. You flex your fingers, they still work. That's something. You close your eyes, and for the first time you speak aloud, not a question, a truth. I saw the body. The cave doesn't echo, but something hears you, something exhales, you feel it. The smallest gust against your cheek, not cold, warm. You open your eyes, there's no one, but you feel less alone, and that frightens you more than being watched. You leave the cave as the sky bruises again. Evening, maybe, or just cloud. You descend toward a flat stretch of land. There, resting half. Buried in ice is a helmet. Roman, crest snapped, iron dull to charcoal gray. You lift it gently. Inside, something carved. You tilt it toward the light. One word, scratched in haste. Remind. You carry it with both hands until the wind takes it from you. A gust. Sudden, it tumbles through the snow, then disappears behind a ridge. You don't chase it, because maybe that's how memory works now. Brief, blown, buried. You sit on a fallen tree, and you whisper. What happens when the last person who remembers is too tired to speak? And the night answers with one sound. A heartbeat, but not yours. The heartbeat fades again, not away, just under, like something waiting for the right silence to return. You sit still on the log, hands folded, mouth dry, not from thirst, just from too many unsaid things. The sky is the color of burnt parchment now, heavy with cloud, still. You notice your own breath more than usual. It comes in soft, measured strands. No urgency. You think, this is how stone must breathe. You continue east, not because it's right, because it's forward. The trees thin. The snow grows softer, not deeper, just more forgiving. Beneath your boots, the ground carries a hollow quality. Like the earth here is not solid. You stop, stomp once. A dull echo rises, not rock, not ice, something layered. You kneel, brush away the top layer of snow. Find wood, old planks, half rotted, fitted tightly, but cracked in places. Flooring. A structure beneath the drift. You move slowly now, walking the edge, and then you see it just beyond the fallen branches. A hatch, half open, not torn, not broken, just waiting. You pause. The air smells different here. No longer frost and pine, now oil, dust, something faintly metallic. You lift the hatch. Below stairs, not cut stone, carved wood, lined with iron. You descend, not quickly. You count each step. 14. Then the tunnel bends and opens into a space that should not exist. It is a room, square, low ceiling, walls covered in cloth, not tapestries wrappings, 7 of them, hung side by side, each embroidered with a single spiral. You touch one, it's soft, too soft to be this old. But it is this old. The colors haven't faded. Red, ochre, ash gray. You look down. The floor is polished stone, cracked in a grid like tiles. At the center, a basin. Round, shallow, empty, but the edge is worn, as if hands circled it. Again and again, you kneel beside it. Inhale. There's still a smell. Herbs, charcoal, skin, ritual. You whisper, not sure why. Who were you? And for a moment the air warms. Only near the bowl. You close your eyes, try to listen, not with ears, with memory. You rise and explore the walls. Behind the wrappings you find markings, not writing imprints, as if something leaned into the wall. Pressed hard, you trace one. It feels like a face, a mask, a skull. You don't know, but it's familiar. Your fingers move to your own cheek. Compare, too small. Yours, not theirs. You feel like an intruder again. A child in a stranger's home. Careful not to knock over the ancestors. You return to the basin. Sit beside it. Your pack rests heavy on your shoulder. You open it. Take out what remains, bread, a strip of cloth. The buckle, the spoon, you hesitate. Then you place the spoon in the basin. A simple offering. You sit back, wait, but nothing changes. The room stays still. Maybe that's the answer, stillness itself. Hours pass, or maybe just minutes. Time here feels like something that's already been spent. You lie down beside the bowl, not to sleep, just to listen, your ear against the cold stone, and slowly, very slowly, you hear breathing, not yours, not close, but somewhere beneath. Something exhaling over centuries, steady, patient. You sit up, look around the room again. Every object here feels like it's trying to forget something. Not to remember, but to forget. The basin, the cloth, even the air. You stand, carefully take the spoon back. Whisper an apology. It's not yours to leave. You exit the chamber slowly. The stairs feel steeper going up. Like time has stretched in your knees, outside again the air feels quieter. Your boots drag slightly more, but your steps are certain. You descend a ridge covered in loose stones, the kind that shift underfoot. You fall once, catch yourself on your hands. They burn, just a little, enough to feel alive. You laugh, not loudly, just once, a dry sound, like stone remembering its own name. You reach a clearing just before nightfall, and you see something new, a tower, crumbled, its base intact, but the top snapped off. You walk toward it, touch the stones, fitted without mortar, the kind of precision lost with time. Inside, a staircase spirals up, broken halfway. Collapsed, you climb anyway, only until it ends, then sit on the ledge. Look out. From here, the mountains unfold like folded cloth, and just barely you see the shape, far behind you now. Half buried, unmoving, but still there, the body, or what remains, and in that moment you understand. It doesn't need to rise. It never did. It just needed to stay, to remind the world what forgetting looks like. You sleep at the tower's base, wrapped in your cloak, back against stone. The stars return but unfamiliar. You try to name them, fail. Even the sky has changed. In the middle of the night, you wake, not from cold, not from sound, from stillness, too complete, too expectant. You sit upright and realize something is watching, not near, not hidden, above. You look up, and on the broken ledge, silhouetted by moonlight, a figure. Tall, silent, unmoving. You don't speak. Neither do they. You hold your breath, but the wind doesn't. It moves gently between you both, like a story that has forgotten its ending. And you wonder if memory takes a shape. Is this what it looks like when it waits? You stay still, watching the figure on the broken ledge. Moonlight pulls their shape into outline, nothing more. No face, no motion, no sound, just the weight of presence. A shadow that forgot to leave. You blink once, twice, they're gone. Not vanished, not fled, just no longer needed in that shape. You exhale slowly and realize your breath is shaking. You pull your cloak tighter around you. The chill isn't deeper now, you're just feeling it again. That's how awareness works. Cold you accept no longer asks permission. Morning arrives without sunlight. A pale gray mist spreads across the rocks like regret. You rise, stiff, hands aching, neck sore from sleeping upright. Your pack rests against the tower wall, soggy, lighter than you remember. You check the contents, the buckle, the spoon, a single page torn from a scroll you don't remember taking. You unfold it, the ink is faded. Just one sentence survives. When memory becomes too heavy, the earth must lie to stay upright. You refold it, place it gently between two cloth layers, not because you believe it, but because part of you does. You leave the ruined tower behind, not quickly, not without looking back. The stone watches you go, not in anger, just in acknowledgement, like it knows your name now. You descend into the next valley, a shallow trough between two hills. The snow here has melted not from sun, from silence. The ground is soft. Mud clings to your boots. You cross a small footbridge, unstable. The planks bend beneath your weight, but don't break. You stop in the middle, look down, no river, just a dry stone bed, and in the center, bones, small, animal maybe, arranged in a spiral. You kneel, trace the shape with your eyes. Then you notice they're not old, not fossilized, still pale, still sharp at the joints. Someone placed them recently. You whisper, "Why?" And the wind carries no answer, only a single leaf, brown, fallen out of season. It lands on your shoulder. You don't brush it away. You follow a ridge path worn into the rock. There are steps here too natural or ancient, you can't tell. Each footfall echoes like a question. Each pause sounds like a decision you haven't made yet. You reach a bend in the trail and stop. There half, buried in the snow a hand, not real, carved, stone fingers reaching from the slope. You dig gently, revealing an arm, a shoulder, the hint of a face beneath ice. A statue broken, time-worn, expressionless, you study it. The features are neither Roman nor Greek, too broad, too calm, not stylized. You touch the cheek. The frost clings to your fingertips, and for a moment you imagine the statue blinking. Not opening its eyes, just choosing to recognize you. You whisper, "I won't tell anyone." And the statue doesn't mind. The trail descends again, through a thicket of bare birches, white bark flaking, branches clawing at your sleeves like old gossip. You step over a stone marker. No carvings, just a hollow. Someone once placed an offering there. Now it's empty. You leave the spoon, carefully. The hollow fits it too perfectly. You stand a moment, then bow your head, not from reverence, just acknowledgement, like saying thank you without knowing why. Later you stop to eat, the last of the bread, tough now, cold at the center. Your jaw aches as you chew. Your knees hurt when you sit. Your fingers look thinner, pale lines on the knuckles where rings used to be. Did you wear rings? You can't remember. The fire you imagined never comes. So you settle for warmth through motion. You run your palms up and down your arms. Stomp your feet gently. The rhythm comforts you. Small rituals often do. By dusk, the path flattens, and then a wall. Not tall, just wide, made of stacked stones, each the size of a small chest. Each painted, once now faded. The symbols repeat, circles, spirals, lines through them. You touch one block, it shifts, just slightly. You press harder, nothing, but your fingertips tingle, like they've touched something once alive. You walk the length of the wall. At the end, an opening, a narrow corridor between two stones. You slip through, and stop. A field empty, silent, flat as sleep. In the center, a tree dead, twisted, its roots above ground like hands searching for something they dropped. You walk toward it. The bark is blackened, charred long ago, but the tree still stands, and carved into its trunk. This is where the voice went quiet. You sit at its base, close your eyes, breathe in slowly and wonder, what would it sound like if the mountain whispered your name? You don't sleep, not at the tree, not under its twisted limbs, not with the sentence still circling your mind. This is where the voice went quiet. You lean against the bark anyway. It's dry beneath your shoulder, but warmer than it should be, like something inside the wood is remembering how to burn. You stare across the flat field. The frost lies unbroken. No tracks, no movement, no promise. You wait. You don't know for what. When you do move, it's slow. The kind of movement that doesn't aim anywhere, it just doesn't want to stay. You leave the tree behind. Its branches twitch once in the wind. Or maybe it's just your eyes tired from watching silence. The sky holds no sun, only a soft bruise of light pressing west. The field narrows into a hollow, sheltered, half ringed with stones stacked like steps, though they lead nowhere. You find the remains of a camp. Torn canvas, scattered ashes, a satchel, half opened, stiff with cold. Inside, paper. You unfold one sheet. It's not blank, a sketch drawn in haste, not of a person, not a structure, but of the mountain itself. The ridge curves like a spine, the valley like a wound, and there, near the center, circled in charcoal, the outline of a body, lying face down, the same shape you saw, but this sketch, it's older. The date in the corner, 1763, your breath catches. You fold the paper gently, slide it into your coat, not to keep, to witness. You eat snow, not because you're thirsty, you just need something to do with your hands. The cold numbs your gums, you let it. Your legs ache, you ignore them. The wind returns, soft, but directional. It pushes at your back. Not hard, just enough. You follow. At the ridge beyond the hollow, you find a stairway carved into stone. Partially buried, each step uneven, you pause, look up. The stairs curve out of sight. You place one foot on the first step, then another. By the 6th, your knees burn. By the 12th, your breath turns shallow. You climb anyway, because something here deserves your effort. You reach a landing and then a doorway, stone. Framed, no gate, just a cloth hanging over the entrance, red, frayed at the bottom. Embroidered with a single symbol, 7 circles spiraled inward, tied off at the core with a single line. You lift the cloth and step inside. The room is not dark. A glow comes from shallow bowls set along the floor filled with oil, each with a faint flame. The light flickers but does not move. There are no windows, no air, but still the flames live. You move slowly. The floor is clean, smoothed by sandals, boots, bare feet, long vanished at the center of the space. A stone table. Flat, polished, empty except for a bowl, wooden, unadorned, still holding water. You look down, the water is still, but not quiet. Images flicker in it. Not clearly just suggestions. A foot, a torch. A city gate made of hands. You close your eyes, step back, not in fear, in respect. Some stories should be read without being touched. Along the wall, scrolls stacked in clay jars, labeled in languages half lost. You choose one, unroll it carefully. The fibers creak. The ink is uneven, not faded. Written that way, as if the scribe was unsure. You read, "They said the mountain was carved from a man too large to be buried. But it was not carved. It laid down. It chose stillness. That was the bargain." You read it again. The bargain. You look around. Nothing else answers. You roll the scroll, return it to its jar. Your fingertips tremble, not from cold, from being close to something that remembers your kind. There's a bench near the far wall, stone again, low, worn smooth. You sit. You rest your hands on your thighs. Your breath comes quieter now. You could sleep, but you don't, because something in the walls is listening. Not judging, not watching, just listening. You whisper, not for it for yourself, if it laid down. What did it leave standing? The flames don't flicker. The water in the bowl clears for just a moment. And you see your own reflection, but the eyes aren't yours. You stand, step back. The image breaks. Outside again, night has arrived. The stars are the same, but your place under them has shifted. The air feels different, not lighter, just noticed, like the sky knows you've seen something too old to forget. You descend the stairs again, one step at a time, careful not to slip. At the base you rest a moment. Lean against the ridge wall. You look up. A cloud passes. The moon appears. And there silhouetted high above is the shape again. The body, unmoving, or maybe a trick of memory. You look away, close your eyes, and ask what part of history was too tired to stand and chose instead to lie down. You stay there, back pressed to the rock, knees pulled in, not sleeping, not moving, just letting the silence finish its thought. It takes hours or no time at all. Eventually, your legs begin to ache, your shoulder twitches, your stomach offers a quiet complaint, not pain, exactly, just the sound hunger makes when it's too tired to argue. You unwrap the last of your rations, a strip of dried root, cracked with cold, bitter on the tongue. You chew slowly, because it reminds you that your teeth still work, and your jaw still listens. When you finish, your breath feels heavier. The night presses against your chest like damp wool. Still you stand. Still you keep walking. The trail bends west again. Strange. You've been certain you were going east. But the mountain doesn't explain its choices. So you follow. The path cuts through a line of narrow stones like a procession, each just tall enough to feel like company. You count as you pass. 7. Always 7. It's not a pattern now. It's a rule. You pause at the last one. Someone has carved something into the base. A symbol, a word. You crouch. Scrape frost away. It's not in any script you know, but your body seems to understand it anyway. You place your hand on it. The stone is warm. You leave your palm there longer than necessary. You want it to remember your shape. Beyond the stones, the air thins. The trees stop, and ahead a road. Paved, cracked, ancient. You blink. Roman again. You step onto it carefully. It holds your weight. You walk it like a pilgrim. Quiet, humbled, you pass milestones, none marked, just standing, just watching. Then voices, faint, flickering. You freeze, there's no one. Just echoes, not language sound. Laughter, tools, a wheel creaking. You know this isn't memory, this is residue. What the mountain couldn't scrub clean. You keep walking. Carefully, the road ends at a gate. Iron, bent and folded inward like paper. Once tall, now rusted into a spire of nothing. You step over the edge, into a space that once tried to be a town. Ruins, old stone foundations. Collapsed huts, a circle of benches half. Wallowed by vines, you cross a courtyard. There's a well at the center, dry. You lower a pebble, wait. It doesn't hit anything. You walk the edge. Your footsteps are the only sound. Until you hear another. Scrape to your left. You stop. Wait. Nothing. Then again. Not close. Just deliberate. You turn slowly. A figure stands beside one of the walls, leaning forward, hands on the stone as if reading it through touch. You don't speak. You wait. The figure turns, face covered, wrapped in dark cloth. Only the eyes visible and even those unreadable. They raise one hand, not in warning, in greeting. You mirror the gesture. And for a moment, neither of you move. Then they speak. Just one sentence. We leave marks not to be remembered, but to remember ourselves. Then they turn and walk away. You do not follow, because the sentence is too heavy to carry with anything else. You make a small camp near the edge of the ruins. Sheltered by a fragment of wall, you unwrap your cloak, stretch your back. Your spine feels older now, not painful, just informed. You try to sleep. But your dreams are strange, not terrifying, just misplaced. You see a road with no end, boots scattered across it, all left foot. A body lying across the hills, arms folded like gates. And in the dream, a whisper. The ones who buried it forgot why. You wake before dawn. Not startled, just returned. The next morning, fog clings low. You walk with one hand trailing along the ruined stones. They feel tired. You think, can structures forget their own names? You find another stair half collapsed. You climb it. It leads nowhere, just a ledge. But from here, the landscape spreads like memory. The pass, the road, the hint of a body's outline, blurred now by wind and drift. But still there, like something lying still just long enough to be ignored. You sit, pull your scarf tighter, breathe slowly. You remove the buckle from your pocket, hold it. Your thumb traces the spiral again. You still don't know what it meant, but your hand does. You close your fingers around it and ask the sky if the body was never meant to move. Why did we keep waiting for it to rise? You walk without urgency now, because the urgency left you days ago. Or maybe it was never yours to begin with. Each footstep lands softer. The soil here is darker, almost black. It sticks to your boots, but in a familiar way. Like a language, your skin remembers, even if your mind doesn't. By midday, the wind rises again. Not cold, not warm, just moving, as if the mountain exhales in your direction, tired of holding its breath. You stop and tighten your cloak, the new one, the one someone left for you. It fits too well to be coincidence. You wonder who else has walked this path, who else the mountain noticed, and how many of them. Never turned back. Later, you find a trail marker, wooden, rotting, but still standing. Tied around its post is a strip of cloth, thin as breath, knotted with one spiral. You don't touch it. You don't need to. You already know what it's saying. The path curves again, always curving, like it doesn't want to be seen from above, or remembered in straight lines. You follow anyway. The sun is low when the ground changes beneath your feet. Your boot lands hard, stone again, not cut, just exposed. A patch of flattened rock in the middle of the wild. You kneel, brush frost away. It's not random. It's a platform, aligned to something you can't see, or can't admit. You stand in the center, close your eyes and feel it, not under your feet, but beneath it all, the shape, still lying there, unmoved, as if waiting for someone to understand stillness as action. You move on. A sparse forest reappears. Short trees, weathered, twisted. The branches reach outward, not up, like they've grown tired of striving and now just stretch to rest. You step over old roots. Listen. No birds here, only wind and a low groan deep in the branches. like someone remembering pain they didn't earn. You find a small stone shelter, partially collapsed, not a house, a marker, or a place to kneel. There's a bowl inside, empty, but something's carved beneath it. You lean in, words in Latin, weathered but legible, hoc non-loquitur. This is the bone, it does not speak. You sit beside it. Run your fingers along the edge of the stone. You whisper as if replying, but it listens, doesn't it? The night falls colder than you expected. Your fire is small. Its heat doesn't reach your legs, but the smoke curls politely upward. You eat the last of the dry root. Tough, bitter, familiar. There's no satisfaction, just routine. You lie back against your pack, stare at the sky. The stars are clearer now. No clouds, no wind, just frost silently forming on your sleeves. You exhale through your nose, a warm ribbon of air that disappears without resistance. And you think, if the stars remember, do they ever confuse us with the ones who came before? You sleep light, a half, sleep, where thoughts drift more than dreams. You see cloth again, and spirals, and that impossible image, a spine stretched across a mountain, unmoving. It's not grief you feel. Not exactly. More like guilt you didn't know you inherited. Morning pulls you from your sleep with a breath of warmth. Not sun. A strange, almost human warmth. Faint, from somewhere unseen. You sit up. Everything is the same, except a piece of bark has been placed beside you. Flat, smooth, drawn on it a single eye, painted in ash, with a spiral inside the iris. You stare at it, then flip it over. Nothing. You don't know who left it, but they were quiet enough to place it next to you, and bold enough to draw that. You keep it, because some messages don't want to be heard, only carried. The next trail is steeper, carved into ridges now. Every few hundred steps a new cairn, some with bones tucked at the base. Small ones, bird, rabbit, or maybe something else. You don't disturb them. You're just passing through. Your legs are heavier today. Your back aches. You think about laying down just for a few minutes, but the trail, it doesn't stop. You climb, you breathe, you climb. At the summit, a stone table, rectangular. Empty, but something's carved along its edge. You lean close. It's not language. It's a series of shapes, 7, again, each one slightly different, spirals, circles, breaking, reforming, fracturing. Returning, you place your hand over the 7th. It's broken, sharp. Your finger catches on the edge, a small cut. You watch the blood well up, only a dot. It falls onto the stone and vanishes. The mountain does not react. But something inside your ribs does. You sit down, wrap your arms around your knees, and stay, just stay, because maybe this is what reverence looks like. Not worship, not prayer, stillness. Hours pass. Light fades, the wind picks up again, colder now. You pull your hood over your ears, and still the wind finds you, not punishing, just reminding. You think of the path behind you, and wonder, was it ever a trail? Or just the space silence made for those who chose to walk it? You exhale again, not as surrender, just punctuation. And you ask if the giant never moved. Why do we call this a passage? You wake with dust on your lips. Your breath comes in slow pieces. The wind has stopped again, not out of mercy, out of caution. You rise from the edge of the summit stone. Your knees crack. Your back groans like a door used too many times without oil. You don't feel old, just remembered. You rub your hands together. They feel less yours than before, as if part of you has started to belong to this place, to the path, to whatever still listens beneath it. You descend with care. Each step finds a stone that could shift. Every grip on a ledge carries weight that wants to fall. You don't rush, because you understand now. Hurry was never part of the ritual. Halfway down the slope, you stop, ahead a field of flags, not waving, stiff, each planted into stone, faded fabric, black thread stitched into each one, 7 again, always 7, some are shredded, some untouched. One has a spiral stitched into its edge. You kneel beside it. Your fingers trail the stitch line. It's tight, clean, precise. Someone made this by hand. Someone sat here, bent over the cloth, and cared. You close your eyes, hold the flag's stem with both hands. The pole is warmer than it should be, not warm, just, not cold, like it was only recently placed. You keep walking, the flags thin out, until the path narrows again. Stone flattens into steps at the base, a ring of stones arranged in a spiral, larger than any you've seen so far. At the center, an indentation in the earth, oval, deep, clean. It looks like something once lay there, and was taken or stood. You sit at the spiral's edge. Your breath clouds the air in front of your face. It curls around your scarf, disappears slowly, like everything else. You lower your head, close your eyes, and feel it, the weight of something unspoken, not fear, not guilt, memory, heavy as bone. You place your palm into the center of the spiral, not for meaning, not for power. Just to see if the earth will recognize you. It doesn't, but it doesn't push you away either. You take that as permission. Further down, the trail forks. One path is dry, the other, wet stone, slippery but carved smooth. You choose the wet path because nothing gentle ever came without friction. It leads you into a ravine. Walls rise steep and close. The wind no longer follows, only your own breath. You pause often now, to touch the walls, to check for signs, to be sure this isn't a mistake. But it never is, because this path remembers itself, even when you forget. At the far end of the ravine, a doorway, not carved. Placed, tall stone slabs leaned against one another, forming an entry. A cloth hangs down the middle, black, threadbare, no symbol, but something is burned into it. Not fire, not words, just a single long handprint. Too long, you don't flinch. You just stand there, staring. You touch it. Cold, you step through. The room inside is silent. You hear nothing. Not wind, not echo. Not even your own heartbeat. The stillness is perfect. So perfect it frightens you. Not because it's empty, because it isn't. There are benches here, stools, rugs, unmoved, untouched, unclaimed, and at the far end a low stone bed. Empty. You cross the space. Not in reverence, not in fear, just with care. You kneel beside the bed and see it. A map, carved into the wall above. Simple lines, curving paths, one enormous shape lying across all of it. The body. Drawn without muscle, without grandeur, just form, just weight. You study the lines, and next to them carved smaller than anything else a face, human, looking away from the body, not kneeling, not worshipping. Just watching, and you understand, that's you, that's anyone, that's what we do, we watch. We try to make sense of shapes too large for language, and we walk around them calling it progress. You sit back. Place your hand on your chest, feel the buckle beneath your layers, you remove it, hold it up to the dim light, the spiral shines faintly. You remember the line, we record what we are forbidden to remember. You look again at the wall. You whisper, then what is this? The room does not answer, but your breath returns, just slightly deeper than before. You leave the buckle there, on the stone bed. You don't know if it belongs, but maybe now neither do you. You exit slowly. The doorway does not close behind you. You descend one final slope, back to where the pass begins to open again, and then you see it from above, clearly, the full length of the form. The body, face down, half buried, crusted with age, and still refusing to disappear, still choosing not to rot, not to move, not to speak, just to remain, and you say nothing, because that's the only response that feels honest now. You sit cross-legged, hands on your knees, and you watch. For how long, you'll never know, because now the silence stretches wide and asks, if something refuses to be erased, is that the same as being remembered? You walk without urgency now, because the urgency left you days ago, or maybe it was never yours to begin with. Each footstep lands softer. The soil here is darker, almost black. It sticks to your boots, but in a familiar way. Like a language, your skin remembers, even if your mind doesn't. By midday, the wind rises again, not cold, not warm, just moving, as if the mountain exhales in your direction, tired of holding its breath. You stop and tighten your cloak, the new one, the one someone left for you. It fits too well to be coincidence. You wonder who else has walked this path, who else the mountain noticed, and how many of them. Never turned back. Later, you find a trail marker, wooden, rotting, but still standing. Tied around its post is a strip of cloth. thin as breath, knotted with one spiral. You don't touch it. You don't need to. You already know what it's saying. The path curves again, always curving, like it doesn't want to be seen from above, or remembered in straight lines. You follow anyway. The sun is low when the ground changes beneath your feet. Your boot lands hard, stone again, not cut, just exposed. A patch of flattened rock in the middle of the wild. You kneel, brush frost away. It's not random. It's a platform, aligned to something you can't see, or can't admit. You stand in the center, close your eyes and feel it, not under your feet, but beneath it all, the shape, still lying there, unmoved, as if waiting for someone to understand stillness as action. You move on. A sparse forest reappears. Short trees, weathered, twisted. The branches reach outward, not up, like they've grown tired of striving and now just stretch to rest. You step over old roots. Listen. No birds here, only wind and a low groan deep in the branches, like someone remembering pain they didn't earn. You find a small stone shelter, partially collapsed, not a house, a marker, or a place to kneel. There's a bowl inside, empty, but something's carved beneath it. You lean in, words in Latin, weathered but legible, hoc-est non-loquitur. This is the bone, it does not speak. You sit beside it. Run your fingers along the edge of the stone. You whisper as if replying, but it listens, doesn't it? The night falls colder than you expected. Your fire is small. Its heat doesn't reach your legs, but the smoke curls politely upward. You eat the last of the dry root. Tough, bitter, familiar. There's no satisfaction, just routine. You lie back against your pack, stare at the sky. The stars are clearer now. No clouds, no wind, just frost silently forming on your sleeves. You exhale through your nose, a warm ribbon of air that disappears without resistance. And you think, if the stars remember, do they ever confuse us with the ones who came before? You sleep light, a half, sleep, where thoughts drift more than dreams. You see cloth again, and spirals, and that impossible image, a spine stretched across a mountain, unmoving. It's not grief you feel. Not exactly. More like guilt you didn't know you inherited. Morning pulls you from your sleep with a breath of warmth. Not sun. A strange, almost human warmth, faint from somewhere unseen. You sit up. Everything is the same, except a piece of bark has been placed beside you. Flat, smooth, drawn on it a single eye, painted in ash, with a spiral inside the iris. You stare at it, then flip it over. Nothing. You don't know who left it, but they were quiet enough to place it next to you, and bold enough to draw that. You keep it, because some messages don't want to be heard, only carried. The next trail is steeper, carved into ridges now. Every few hundred steps a new cairn, some with bones tucked at the base. Small ones, bird, rabbit, or maybe something else. You don't disturb them. You're just passing through. Your legs are heavier today. Your back aches. You think about laying down just for a few minutes, but the trail, it doesn't stop. You climb, you breathe, you climb. At the summit, a stone table, rectangular. Empty, but something's carved along its edge. You lean close. It's not language. It's a series of shapes, 7, again, each one slightly different, spirals, circles, breaking, reforming, fracturing. Returning, you place your hand over the 7th. It's broken, sharp. Your finger catches on the edge, a small cut. You watch the blood well up, only a dot. It falls onto the stone and vanishes. The mountain does not react. But something inside your ribs does. You sit down, wrap your arms around your knees, and stay, just stay, because maybe this is what reverence looks like. Not worship, not prayer, stillness. Hours pass. Light fades, the wind picks up again, colder now. You pull your hood over your ears, and still the wind finds you, not punishing, just reminding. You think of the path behind you, and wonder, was it ever a trail? Or just the space silence made for those who chose to walk it? You exhale again, not as surrender, just punctuation. And you ask if the giant never moved. Why do we call this a passage? You wake with dust on your lips. Your breath comes in slow pieces. The wind has stopped again, not out of mercy, out of caution. You rise from the edge of the summit stone. Your knees crack. Your back groans like a door used too many times without oil. You don't feel old, just remembered. You rub your hands together. They feel less yours than before, as if part of you has started to belong to this place, to the path, to whatever still listens beneath it. You descend with care. Each step finds a stone that could shift. Every grip on a ledge carries weight that wants to fall. You don't rush, because you understand now. Hurry was never part of the ritual. Halfway down the slope, you stop, ahead a field of flags, not waving, stiff, each planted into stone, faded fabric, black thread stitched into each one, 7 again, always 7, some are shredded, some untouched. One has a spiral stitched into its edge. You kneel beside it. Your fingers trail the stitch line. It's tight, clean, precise. Someone made this by hand. Someone sat here, bent over the cloth, and cared. You close your eyes, hold the flag's stem with both hands. The pole is warmer than it should be, not warm, just, not cold, like it was only recently placed. You keep walking, the flags thin out, until the path narrows again. Stone flattens into steps at the base, a ring of stones arranged in a spiral, larger than any you've seen so far. At the center, an indentation in the earth, oval, deep, clean. It looks like something once lay there, and was taken or stood. You sit at the spiral's edge. Your breath clouds the air in front of your face. It curls around your scarf, disappears slowly, like everything else. You lower your head, close your eyes, and feel it, the weight of something unspoken, not fear, not guilt, memory, heavy as bone. You place your palm into the center of the spiral, not for meaning, not for power. Just to see if the earth will recognize you. It doesn't, but it doesn't push you away either. You take that as permission. Further down, the trail forks. One path is dry, the other, wet stone, slippery but carved smooth. You choose the wet path because nothing gentle ever came without friction. It leads you into a ravine. Walls rise steep and close. The wind no longer follows, only your own breath. You pause often now, to touch the walls, to check for signs, to be sure this isn't a mistake. But it never is, because this path remembers itself, even when you forget. At the far end of the ravine, a doorway, not carved. Placed, tall stone slabs leaned against one another, forming an entry. A cloth hangs down the middle, black, threadbare, no symbol, but something is burned into it. Not fire, not words, just a single long handprint. Too long, you don't flinch. You just stand there, staring. You touch it. Cold, you step through. The room inside is silent. You hear nothing. Not wind, not echo, not even your own heartbeat. The stillness is perfect. So perfect it frightens you, not because it's empty, because it isn't. There are benches here, stools, rugs, unmoved, untouched, unclaimed, and at the far end a low stone bed. Empty. You cross the space. Not in reverence, not in fear, just with care. You kneel beside the bed and see it. A map, carved into the wall above. Simple lines, curving paths, one enormous shape lying across all of it. The body. Drawn without muscle, without grandeur, just form, just weight. You study the lines, and next to them carved smaller than anything else a face, human, looking away from the body, not kneeling, not worshipping. Just watching, and you understand, that's you, that's anyone, that's what we do, we watch. We try to make sense of shapes too large for language, and we walk around them calling it progress. You sit back. Place your hand on your chest, feel the buckle beneath your layers. You remove it, hold it up to the dim light, the spiral shines faintly. You remember the line, we record what we are forbidden to remember. You look again at the wall. You whisper, then what is this? The room does not answer, but your breath returns, just slightly deeper than before. You leave the buckle there, on the stone bed. You don't know if it belongs, but maybe now, neither do you. You exit slowly. The doorway does not close behind you. You descend one final slope, back to where the pass begins to open again, and then you see it, from above, clearly, the full length of the form. The body, face down, half buried, crusted with age, and still refusing to disappear, still choosing not to rot, not to move, not to speak, just to remain, and you say nothing, because that's the only response that feels honest now. You sit cross-legged, Hands on your knees, and you watch. For how long, you'll never know. Because now the silence stretches wide and asks, if something refuses to be erased, is that the same as being remembered? You don't know how long you sit there. The slope beneath you has gone soft with melt and lichen. Your legs are stiff. Your hands rest on your thighs, still empty, heavy with what they can't carry. The shape below you stretches across the pass like a held breath. No one comes, no voices, no sound of hooves or wheels or crows. Just the sound your body makes when it begins to become the land. Eventually, your fingers move. You don't tell them to. They just twitch against your knees, searching for purpose. Finding none, your breath fogs the air in front of your face. The fog curls down, settles near the ground. It doesn't rise, like it's learned something about staying low. You press your palms to the soil beside you. It feels warm, or maybe your hands have forgotten what warmth means. You lean forward, and for the first time, you notice the shape's shoulders. They aren't armored, they aren't marked, they're smooth. Like someone cleaned them recently. You stand, it takes effort, your knees argue, your back doesn't vote at all. You make your way down the slope again, back toward the body, one step at a time, boots pressing old impressions into even older dust. There's no trail now, just the idea of movement. You reach the shoulder near dusk. You place a hand against it. It's smoother than stone should be, not bone, not earth, not cloth, something between, the way wax feels after it forgets what shape it was supposed to hold. You close your eyes. Try to remember how it felt the first time you saw it. Back before all the flags, the spirals, the rituals, when it was just a shape too big to explain. You feel your breath slow, and something beneath your palm pulses. Once, then still. You walk the length of the back. It's easier now, as if your body knows the route. You count ribs again. Still too many. Still not symmetrical. Still wrong in a way that feels familiar. At the base of the spine, you stop. There's something there, a pile of stones, no taller than your knee, balanced carefully, but this one is different. Each stone is carved, each with a line of text. Languages layered atop each other, Latin, Greek, something angular and lost. You kneel, brush frost away from the topmost stone. One word, silentium, below it, the translation etched by another hand, to remain. Not vanish, just unspoken. You place your hand on it. Then, for the first time, you speak aloud, soft, quiet, almost afraid to hear it. I hear you. Nothing changes, but you feel it anyway, that quiet echo in the chest, like a thought you didn't know you've been holding. You rest beside the mound, pull your coat tighter, dig your heels into the slope to keep from sliding. Above you, the sky breaks open, not with storm, with stars, endless, sharp, unapologetic. You lie back. Feel the shape of the mountain beneath your spine, the shape of the giant beneath the mountain, and the smaller shape of yourself. Just trying to know it was ever real, you dream, but it isn't images. Just pressure, weight, like being buried under every name that was never written, like holding breath for someone who never exhaled. You wake, not gasping, just. Changed, the sky is darker, the wind is warmer. And you know there's one place left to go. At the far edge of the pass, behind a wall of shale and silence, lies a pit. You find it by accident. Your foot strikes hollow ground. You pause. Step back. Crouch, brush away moss, a lid. Circular, not stone, something older. You grip its edge. Lift, it groans inside. Stairs, spiraling down. You don't think. You descend. The passage is narrow. The air dry, metallic. You pass marks along the walls, burned in, not carved. Each spiral more broken than the last. At the bottom, a chamber, small, round, lined with stone shelves, and on each shelf, objects, simple ones, a comb. A tool, a shoe. Nothing large, nothing valuable. Just fragments. You walk slowly, past each shelf. Each item labeled with a name. Most names you can't pronounce, but a few. You recognize, one of them yours. Your breath catches. A small stone rests beneath it, flat, worn. You pick it up. It fits perfectly in your palm. You close your fist and feel, not fear, not surprise, recognition. You sit in the center of the chamber. Place the stone in your lap and whisper, "So you did remember me." Nothing answers, but the silence softens, like it's heard this before, like it will again. You sit until your legs go numb. You stand again. Place the stone back on the shelf and climb the stairs. When you emerge, the dawn is already beginning. Faint red across the ridge. The body still lies there, still unmoved, still watching something you can't see. You bow your head, not in reverence, just acknowledgement. You turn away and begin walking back toward the road, back toward the flags, back toward whatever comes next. And as you walk, you wonder if silence is the last thing we leave behind. What will yours say? You walk, not forward, not back, just through. Your boots move with no destination left. The stones you step on are familiar now, not in the way a path becomes known, but in the way your own weight remembers how to land. The past still holds the body, but your eyes don't seek it anymore. You feel it with your ribs, with the part of your spine that no longer straightens. You're not afraid. You're not reverent. You're just. Returned, the air today is calm, almost warm, the kind of air that comes after something ends, the kind that makes you wonder if silence can stretch far enough to hold an entire history. You don't speak. There's no one to hear you now, but still you whisper once, "I saw you." And maybe that's enough. You retrace parts of the trail, the cairns, the broken steps, the ravine that remembered your name before you did. No one has passed since. Not a soul, not a bird, only time, and even that feels shy here. You rest at the small circle of stones again, the one where something once lay. You sit in the same place, hands folded, face turned slightly to the wind. But this time, the spiral is clearer. Not brighter, just cleaner, as though the mountain has slowly exhaled the dust from it, showing you what was always there. 7 rings. All intact now. You don't understand why. You don't need to. Some things are clearer when not explained. You descend slowly toward the foothills. You know this is the end, not of life, not of walking, but of this story, the one that doesn't belong to you, but somehow came through your body anyway. You stop once more near the first place you saw the shape, the place where the frost never touched the ground, where the wind paused to look over its shoulder. You look too. The body remains, still, unclaimed, its silence louder now, but not demanding, just. Resting like it always was, like it always will be. You find your old camp, barely disturbed, the blanket, the sackcloth, the corner of canvas still tied to a bent nail. You sit down on the straw, your back against the same tree. The bark is smooth beneath your shoulder blades. The mice are quiet tonight. You breathe in, exhale, and realize you've come back with nothing in your hands. But your hands are still full, not with answers, with weight, with echoes, with shapes that will never leave you. You place your palms on your thighs and listen. No new sound comes, but the stillness feels different now. Not hollow, not distant, but full, held. Like the mountain is no longer watching, just remembering. And you realize that was the point all along. Not to find, not to understand, not to uncover, but to remember, to be another shape walking across something too big to name, and leaving just enough of yourself behind that silence won't feel so alone when the next one comes. You lie down, your mattress is still straw, your pillow still folded cloth, but tonight you don't mind the mice. You let your limbs go heavy, let your breath slow, let the weight settle into the earth where it came from. And your final thought floats upward, not heavy, not urgent, just a soft line of wonder. Not everything leaves a mark, but you, we're here. Thank you for listening. May your night be long. May your dreams be quiet. May the silence remember you.